I want to talk today about the subject of will I have enough milk? It's probably one of the main concerns for mum before baby comes, and I've talked a little bit about this in my myths video, that we are sort of programmed in Western society that there's a possibility that we might not have enough milk. Statistically, it's a very small number of women who biologically can't make milk in their breasts. And for the other women, the reasons why they didn't have enough milk or they felt they didn't have enough milk are varied. So I'll just list off some of them. They didn't practice feeding at night. They didn't let the baby come to the breast whenever the baby wanted, because the baby is what tells our breast what kind of milk and how much milk. They may have felt that the baby feeds too much, and so an onlooker will say that's not right, because we sort of have this formula brain in our head, formula milk. And if a baby feeds 25 times in one day, grandma's going to say, not enough milk. Auntie's going to say, not enough milk. That's not right. Baby shouldn't be on the breast as much as that. You obviously got a problem with your milk. Another reason might be that somebody doesn't actually want to breastfeed and they don't feel they've got permission to say, this isn't actually something I want to do. And so it's an acceptable thing to say, I don't have enough milk. Another reason might be that you are doing a practice that is inhibiting milk, like only feeding for a set amount of time, spacing the baby, like I said, not letting the baby come to the breast as often as they want. And I thought I'd introduce a book. I read it in my 20s, so like 30 years ago, and it's called The Continuum Concept. And it's a woman who lives with tribes, mostly in South America, and she looks at how they just live and adapt to life around them, how they accept the path of life, and how they accept that their children will be in physical contact with them the majority of the time until they're old enough to crawl or move away from them. And I think in a lot of Western societies, we feel that we need time without the baby. And that is totally valid. It can feel very overwhelming to be responsible for this child all the time. We can feel like we just need a little bit of headspace without them. And that is where other family members and family can come in. They can still create that bond of being next to baby, so laying them on their chest or wearing them in a carrier. And that creates an environment in which baby feels that their needs are always met. And there's a lot of psychological research which shows that animals and babies who have unlimited access to their mother, those animals who feed the same way as we do, that those animals or babies have a much more independent lookout on life as they grow older, and they also have this feeling of things will turn out okay. And that has been believed to be, and research has also shown that there's a correlation between these two things, in that a baby's needs are always met as quickly as possible. And that psychological So forget about the milk the baby's having, but that psychological contact with you and reassurance is what helps to develop their brain and helps their brain to feel safe. And we know from lots of studies that when a child feels extremely safe, especially between 0 to 1, that it has a massive impact on the rest of their lives. So something that I suggest to mums is that when you have your baby, you say to everybody, for the first week, all I'm going to do is breastfeed. This is me learning. This is the baby learning. And whatever you need to do to help you with that, some mums keep their pajamas on, and in that way, people aren't saying, well, can you run so-and-so? Can you go so-and-so? Because you're reminding them, I've just had a baby. I'm in my pajamas. My main role is just to be there to feed and help me to get to grips with this breastfeeding. And the more we allow the baby unlimited access to the breast whenever they want, the easier they will get into a good breastfeeding rhythm, and they will be able to do it in a way that isn't painful, and you will be able to get the confidence that you will have enough milk for that baby. So it's not really a physical preparation, it's a mental preparation before the baby comes. Belief in your body, in nature, that your body will provide for the baby. There are a few things that affect how we feel about our baby putting on weight as well, and that can knock our confidence. One of the things is that a health visitor or a health professional can say your baby's losing too much weight in the beginning. Some things that affect that are if you have a lot of drugs during your labour or an epidural, it can make the baby very sleepy in the beginning. So it means that they might not feed very much compared to a baby who is delivered without any medication, would be a little bit more alert. That's what we would notice. And so in the hospital in the UK, you have to feed a few times before you can go home. And so you might want to wake that baby up if you've had an epidural or medication to get them to feed. Even if they just feed for 2 minutes, that counts as a feed. And then the hospital will be less concerned about letting you and the baby go home. And also, just some babies are individual and decide not to do a beautiful curve like the health professionals like. And so there are some practices that can make your milk fattier and can help your baby to put on a little bit more weight if there is concerns from health professionals. And I'll do a different video about that. But that's also something that can knock your confidence and you can feel like you're not having enough milk. And that's right at the beginning. You've just given birth and someone's saying your baby isn't feeding enough. And then you go home and they're telling you the baby's feeding too much. It can feel overwhelming. So prepare yourself mentally that you're going to allow the baby to come to the breast whenever it wants. For that first week, allow that to be your time, if this is possible, to let the baby feed whenever it wants. And to get your confidence and your real belief that your body can do this and make enough milk. I hope this has helped.